Welcome, Alyssa, to episode 22 of that Indie Talk podcast. It's Women's Month now, and so the focus of this platform and the podcast was to basically highlight women's stories, women's issues, women's triumphs as well, and accomplishments. And so this year I decided to do something different and interview women who've been part of the community before. I think it was 5 years ago.
Hmm.
I did a feature on you, and that was pre-Olympics. And back
Damn, that's
then, your
long ago, eh?
goal. It
Wow.
is. I can't believe I've been doing this for so long. Um, yeah, and so that means we've actually known each other for more than 5 years. It's been a while.
It's been a while,
And
yeah.
so that was pre your Olympic dream. And, back then your goal was to be part of the Olympics. And we'll touch
Hmm.
more on that later. To everybody watching, today's guest is Alyssa Conley. She is a track athlete and Olympian. I'm so excited to have an Olympian on this platform. It's very hard to get elite athletes, but I'm very happy that you agreed. And she's from Johannesburg. She was part of the Rio Olympics in 2016. And yeah, she just, from the first time I saw you, I think it was in Soweto. We were doing like a Nike promotional run. I can't remember. And the person I was with was like, yo, she is fit. And you're wearing tights, right? So we thought you were going to run with us,
Hmm.
and you didn't. And it was like, oh, why was she there? Why is she wearing tights? And I was like, no, she's like an elite athlete. So I'm really happy to have you here. I think I've done a basic introduction on who Alyssa is. I've drawn an outline, I think. So could you please color it in and just give us a little bit more about you?
Cool, man. Thank you for having me, firstly, and I'm glad that 5 years later we can recap. Days, it's long, but it's amazing to always have these, recaps and reflection moments and see that you actually reached your goal, that you spoke out into the universe 5 years ago. A lot of people don't take that time to reflect and just appreciate the fact that they reached the goal. So thank you for reminding me. Yeah, so basically, Alyssa Conley, born and bred in Johannesburg, 30 years old. um, Jeez, it's crazy. But yeah, I currently am a lecturer at TUT. I lecture sports management and human anatomy, and I'm also a sports and conditioning coach for the Lions women's cricket team. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I love sports. I'm passionate about women empowerment, female development. Um, I'm very passionate about setting a goal and achieving that goal. And, I hope and I like to believe I'm a driven person, very ambitious person. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here and I can't wait for our chat.
Before we carry on, so apparently you cannot have a live without a drink. So mine is coffee and a Harry Potter cup from Typo and water. What is yours?
Hmm. Um, Three guesses.
Um, Apple cider vinegar mixed with
What?
honey and glue.
Who do you think I am?
An elite athlete who doesn't drink any sugar.
I have my spoils every now and then. I would have just been having water, but I thought I'd change it up. And this is one of my favorite drinks, that I have every now and then. It's
Hmm.
sugar-free Stony.
Okay,
Cheers.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm still working on the sugar free because I like the Stony with it's called Stony Extra Queta. That is the one in
Yeah.
the darkest branding. That is
The
my
strong
favorite
one.
Stony.
I
Yes,
know.
the strong one,
Yeah, I
the
know.
strong one. Because they
Hmm.
don't make Stony like they used to before. So you need that strong one to
To
feel.
burn. Yeah, I
Yes,
know what you
yes,
mean. I know.
yes,
I
yes,
just took a sip
yes.
now and I'm like, it might be a bit, I don't know,
It's
awkward something,
light.
but anyway. Yeah, it's light. It is cool.
So, Alyssa, I have this picture in my head from the last
Mm.
feature that we did where I see this young girl and she's running in a field, and you described how you ran barefoot. And then when you're 12 years old, you're in Australia and you're smashing records. Could
Mhm.
you just give us a brief summary of your journey from those days up until now, to the Olympic stage?
Yeah, crazy man. So basically a very rebellious kid. Like if you had to speak to my parents will tell you that they had massive issues with me. Very naughty, very busy, just doing a lot of things. But so yeah, my dad and my mom decided no, they gotta get me to school at an early age because I can't be home anymore because I just catch on crap. So got me to school. My first school was Wilhelmina Hoskins in Riverlea, Johannesburg. So, very rural school. Yeah, and we had a inter-house athletics there, and I remember running on gravel stone barefoot, and I won, and the teachers were like literally flabbergasted, just sitting there like, she's fast. Um, and I think all of their reactions got my dad thinking, okay, whoa, we got something here. And, they changed me, put me in a different school. And literally I've been running all my life since I was, maybe 4 years old. And I watch Marion Jones in the Olympic Games. A lot of people judge me for having Marion Jones being my idol, but back then, growing up as a young girl, watching this lady and just watching her run, her style, her poise on the track, and just dominating and owning the track, I was flabbergasted. I was the one sitting there like, and that's what I wanted to achieve. And I collected posters of Marion Jones, and I started training hard, and I started sprinting, and it was my environment. I loved it. That's where I felt alive. Racing was my thing, and I enjoyed it so much. And I said to myself, I'm going to be an Olympian. Like, that's my goal. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. Yeah, and obviously with a lot of challenges, a lot of ups and downs, it wasn't that easy, wasn't that smooth. But yeah, eventually ended up, working hard, persevering, and yeah, I'm Olympian today.
That is amazing. When you say Marion Jones, right? So when I think of Olympics, because I've always loved the Olympics, I'm not as sporty as I would have loved to have been. But when I think Olympics back then, I think of Marion Jones, and I think that's the first name that actually stuck with me from the Olympics from back then, because I know she always won like the events that she did. And I think another name that comes to mind is, I think, Flojo, but
Yeah.
unfortunately she passed away. Her elaborate like costumes and leotards, and I think it takes me back to then. But apart from running, which you've done pretty much all your life, has there been any other sports that you've dabbled in?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a sporting family, so we watch sport, we love sport, we breathe sport. My parents are addicted to sport. So my sister and I, growing up in that environment, that's all we did, We weren't those kids that stayed indoors and played on, computer games or was in the kitchen. We were always out playing sports. So I did everything. I played badminton provincially. I think I had one stint where I played for South Africa in badminton, and that's one of my favorite sports. Tried my hand in netball. My mom and sister would sit there on the side of the court and just laugh at me because I played center, and they were like, this kid just runs around like a headless chicken. She's got no direction, no coordination. So that was very short lived. I did things like cricket in primary school, a little bit of soccer here and there. Yeah, but in high school, I only focused on athletics and badminton. Obviously, athletics was like my life. Like I ran or I raced from January all the way to November, because I went to a government school. So our seasons were a bit different. So my provincial season and my SA season would be in the beginning of the year, and then I'd come back, and then I have to represent my school, So then I had to run all the way through till November. So it was literally my life.
And it has been your life ever since. So how was, so 5 years ago you set a goal and you said, I'm going to the Olympics. And then I think the next year I saw your name on the screen and I said, she did it. How was that journey from where you were? Because I know you had to run trials, something, and I always used to see at the Vet Stadium with your sister pushing you. How was that journey to the Olympics?
I mean, it was very hard because in 2011 I went for a hip operation. I thought I was going to make the 2012 London Olympics. I was well on my way. I was running good times. I was in good shape, good form. And then all of a sudden, like, my body just disappointed me, gave in on me, had to go for a hip operation. And then literally gave up, if I can put it to you that way. I was like, it's done. I'm never going to get this. I'm never going to be an Olympian. So I just decided to focus on other things, just live life. A lot of partying. If you knew me in 2010, a lot of partying, and just finished my degrees, started working. But then 2014, my sister and I were just doing a normal fitness session because we love keeping fit, we love keeping active. So we're just doing a normal fitness session at the track, and we just laid there and we're like, what are we doing? Why are we not Olympians? What's wrong with us? Like what don't we have that other people have? And I think this was 2014 November, and we decided then that we were both going to go to the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. We like made this sister pact, and we're like, dude, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this happen. We're going to hold each other accountable. We're going to help each other. We're going to motivate each other. We're going to push each other to get there. But when they announce that team, both of our names will pop up on that screen, and we're both going to Brazil. And from that day, we never looked back. And that's what we did. We worked hard. We persevered. There was tears. There was pain. There was moments of doubt. I mean, my first race that I ran back after 4 years, I can remember, I just thought, I trained and I went through everything and I knew my body was fine. I knew I could run, because I was running and training. But I'm telling you, when I got to the actual race and event, I was just sitting there and it was like I was frozen, and I was like, Alyssa, when this gun goes off, are you going to remember how to race? Are you going to remember how to run? Like, there was so much going through my head. And I remember very clearly it was UJ 2016, first 200 meters back after 4 years. And I crossed the finish line, and I never even knew it. Like, I just heard people in the crowd and whatever. And my mom, when I got to my mom was like, Alyssa, what's wrong with you? Why do you always slow down before the line? And I was like, Ma, relax. It's my first race back. And then somebody came up to me and they were like, oh, do you know that you ran the qualification time for Olympics? And I'm like, what? Like, really? Like, I never even knew it. Like, somebody had to come tell me. And that was my first race back after 4 years where, I ran a qualification race, and race after race and race after that, I ran the qualification both in the 100, both in the 200. So I was doing really well. But I never ever believed it. Even when they announced and my name was on the TV, I was like, nah, that's not true. This can't be. But the moment I stepped onto the track in Rio de Janeiro and, I got to see the different athletes, I was like, damn, so you are actually Olympian. And I think that's when it like became real.
Was it not when you were stepping out onto the stadium as a team in your 361-degree tracksuits?
Why do you have to bring that up? Why?
Those are...
I'm looking at all these SA teams now, and I'm like, why is it always my era, my time, where things are terrible? Because, now they're stepping out, Max looking a bit better, looking a bit more fresh. And the under-20s world champ started today, and, they in Puma, they're looking good. And I'm like, why? Why do we always have to suffer? But anyway, it was fine. Doesn't matter. Don't bring up the outfits, please.
The outfit.
Don't bring that.
Before I ask you about the experience of actually being at the Olympics, I want to ask about your relationship with your sister. I think it's quite important to you. Not all of us have that person with us, especially as a sister. You can have them as a friend, but having somebody so close to you who encourages you in every possible way, how has that been growing up?
What a blessing. Like, my sister is very hardworking. I think I'm lucky because my sister set the standard, and I hate coming second. I hate losing. So she set the standard every time, and I was like, okay, if you can do it, I'm going to do it. And then I would try and achieve that same standard or even better. And then she'd set a new standard and push the bar higher. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming for you. So we always had that competitive relationship where we kept each other on our toes, and we kept each other achieving and wanting to achieve, but also supporting each other. If it wasn't for my sister, I wouldn't have made the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. She helped me come back from a major operation. She got me back on track. She got me back to training, fitness, and all of that. So I owe it to her, definitely. And I just love the fact that we support each other. She was obviously at the Rio Olympic Games, but football is not always at the center part of the games. So they play in various cities, right? And football started before athletics. Athletics always starts the next week. So she was in a different city and playing in whatever. And she was so worried about getting to where we were in Rio de Janeiro to make it for my race and to come and watch my race. So obviously, when you eliminated, you have to fly back immediately and, get out of the country. Yeah. Like, if you eliminated, then your country flies you back home, like, the next day. Like, you're lucky if you get to stay, because they're like, okay, well done, good try, go home.
I don't know. So, like, these are the things we don't know. So we thought, I thought that once, you've competed, you didn't make it, you didn't get a medal, it's fine, but, you'll stay until the closing ceremony. Especially for athletics, because it happens at the end of the, end of the program.
No, if you ain't made it to the next round, if you're not doing great, then you're evicted. It's like, goodbye, weakest link.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really harsh. Yeah. That's why you'll see a lot of Olympians come back at different times because, you know, the ones that just don't make it through the heats or the semis or whatever, they get booted and get flown back home unless you make your own plan and, you know, you decide to have a holiday there or something. So she obviously the football was eliminated, so she had to get back home. She had no plan or whatever, but I don't know. I think she took a long bus trip. She booked a ticket on the bus, drove through the night to get to me because I was racing the next day. Got to the village at like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, called me and was like, I'm here, please, you know, make a plan. She had to sleep on the floor in my room
Oh,
just to be
wow.
there and just to watch my race. So yeah, that's like the extremes we go to for each other, you know, to support each other and to be there for each other. So yeah, we definitely have a really good relationship. We fight a lot, I'm not gonna lie, but all siblings do. But in the end of the day, you know, we love each other and we always support each other.
Were your parents with you in Rio?
Yeah, very supportive parents. They love sport. They have been traveling with me since I was 5, you know. So my mom was there in Australia when I won the gold medal on the 100-meter and broke the record, which just gonna brag a little bit, guys. I still hold that record. It's still there. um, yeah, so my mom and sister was there in Australia, you know, they travel with me throughout the world. They make it their holiday. So they wait for me to make a national team and then when they announce where it's gonna be, that's their holiday for the year and they come and watch and support.
Okay, that's amazing. I really like and I appreciate that you have a very supportive family. But you've just mentioned something about the Olympics that I think the general public doesn't know. So I've always
Mm.
wondered, how does one actually get to make it to the Olympic teams? I know maybe for different sport it will be different criteria and different events, but
Yeah.
specifically maybe for athletics and running, how do you make the cut for the Olympic team?
Yeah, so there's a window period for every major athletic competition. So if Olympics is going to be in August, your window period will open from July the year before till July the next year. So they give you about 12 months. And in that window period, you have to run the qualification time both locally and internationally in order to qualify. The IOC will give standards, Olympic standards, and then South Africa standards will always be a little harder than that. So, for example, let's say the IOC standard on the 100-meter is 11.2, then
Oh,
ASA, yeah, then ASA will come through and be like, okay, now 11.2 is the Olympic standard, but we're gonna take it a bit, make it a bit harder, you know, because we want to take medal hopefuls, so our standard is gonna be 11.1 or 11.05, and you have to run that standard both internationally and locally, and then you'll be selected, hopefully. Sometimes we run the standard and we're not selected, so
oh wow.
it's like a crossing fingers thing. Like, you know, I know in one of the major disappointments of my career and my journey was 2017. So I came off of a very good Olympic Games. Well, not very good. I mean, a good year. My Olympic Games wasn't my best performance, but, you know, I was ready for world champs. I was ready to prepare for world champs. Um, and I ran the qualification time, like, I'm not even gonna lie, I probably ran the qualification time 5 or 6 times in that year. Um, and then a month before the world champs, the federation decided no, they're going to make the time a little bit faster. And I had no more races to run. There was no more races left to go and race at to get this qualification time. But I ran it 6 times before, you know, at the
Mm,
standard they set, and they just left about 13 athletes behind, um, just because. Like till today, we have no reason, we have no explanation, we have no answer. So it's like you train 365 days, and then when that announcement comes, you're just like, okay,
what was it for? Yeah, sure.
yeah. So yeah,
So
you have a lot of challenges. It's really hard, yeah.
these are the challenges we don't know about as the public because we just see you on the track and
Hmm.
we know
You
that
guys think it's all amazing there and like we're living in a movie. No.
you're wearing your kit and it's all bright and it looks so good, especially like the last kit for the Olympics, like the different brands really came through for their countries.
Mm, mm,
And so we just see and we're like, oh, we want to be like you, but we're not fast enough. We don't have the strength. So
mm.
here's Alyssa, and you're in Rio, and you're on the track. I can't remember what lane you're in, and there's all these people around you, and they're cheering everybody on you. South Africa's behind you. In your head, at that point, is your goal to get an Olympic medal, or is it just to run the race of your life to say, I've been to the Olympics?
Look, I'm gonna tell you my goal at the Olympic Games was to stay awake for my race. So you guys also don't know. I mean, if you were watching it, you would know that we actually raced at 12 a.m. In the evening, midnight. So that was the race, my heats, 100-meter heats, because of the time difference. And we have to have the race when the world is watching. So we raced at 12 a.m. I'm asleep at 9. Like after this call, I'm going to sleep. That's my body. And I'm not a night person. I'm a morning person, and yeah, I am like having to race and run the race of my life at 12 a.m. Firstly, I'm not even switched on. So it
Mm,
was really challenging. Just to get your body into race mode at that time, get your mind focused at that time. So when I got to Rio, like I had to literally force myself to stay awake until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. every morning, and then try and sleep during the day. So I had to change my clock cycle, or try to change it. I wasn't very
mm,
successful, but I had to try and change it because, now I have to be at my most alert at 12 a.m. and I have to
yes.
then run this amazing race. So goal one was to actually try and get to that point. And then goal two, was just to try and enjoy the race and to do the best that I can do, as an Olympic athlete, especially with the journey I've been through and the injuries and the challenges and basically giving up and coming back. You just want to do your best. There, I was running next to Elaine Thompson. Ah, guys, I'm telling you, when I was in the block, I don't even think Elaine Thompson warmed up for that race.
Mm,
So when I'm in the blocks and Elaine Thompson's here and the gun goes off, the first 20 meters, I was probably like, oh, hey, Elaine, I'm with you. Like, this is cool. And Elaine just starts jogging, natural jogging, Elaine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was crazy. It was crazy. So, it's good to measure yourself up against these elite athletes and, to see how they handle things and how they adjust and how they adapt. I always say that it's good to go to your first Olympics, but the second one is where, you're going to achieve, especially coming from these small countries where we're not prepared mentally at all. Literally, you get to the
mm.
Olympic Games, you get your program. They tell you where the training track is. They tell you how to get there. They tell you, what the schedules are and what's expected of you. And that's it. And I'm sitting there and I'm just Alyssa from South Africa, haven't ran for 4 years. There's these amazing athletes around me. And I'm like, okay, what now? Like, and you just have to figure it out yourself. And you just have to make sure you pitch up for your race and you run. So yeah, it's tough out there.
Did you get to like interact and mix with your like Alison Felix's and Chile and Fraser Price?
Yeah, so the Americans, I know they never stayed at the Olympic Village, so I hardly saw the Americans around there. But saw Usain Bolt, saw Shelley Fraser Price, saw Elaine Thompson. I was in Usain Bolt's room when they were playing PlayStation because I knew one of his Turkish training partners. So I was like, okay. But here's me, I'm just sitting there like,
Starstruck.
all shy and like, okay, should I say something? Should I do something? But anyways, that was cool. Then you got to meet other athletes from other sporting codes like Sunny Paul Williams, Sunny Paul, Jesus, Alyssa, Sunny Boy Williams, um, and Rafael Nadal. I took a picture with him for my grand because that's my grand's ultimate favorite tennis player. So I was like, okay, Oma, look who I'm chilling with in the dining hall. Yeah, so I mean, it's Olympics. Everybody around you is world class, and the dining hall is 24 hours, and literally you walk in there and you just see amazing athletes all over, like all over. So yeah, it's crazy. Like it's something
Um,
that you can't explain, you have to experience. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, it's one of those. It's like yesterday's live with viewer. She said she hiked Kilimanjaro and she was saying it's a journey that you have to take for
mm,
yourself. But unfortunately, the Olympics is not something we can go to as athletes, maybe as spectators.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think just one more question around the Olympics is that what other misconceptions does the public have about them? What you've mentioned to me right now is actually like
Sure.
gobsmacked. I'm shocked that you're running at midnight.
Mm.
Um, I'm shocked that you have to come back immediately after you've been eliminated. So those are some of the things that we're not aware of.
Mm. Yeah, I think sure. There's a lot of misconceptions that people have about sports people in general. Like, they think that everything is so cool and just easy, but it's not. Um, Other misconceptions. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it was great, but maybe I think that you treat it according to the size of your team and your ability. So the differences between the housing and the villages and the flats. So if you guys see pictures of Olympic Games and people like taking videos and stuff and showing you the nice things, different countries are in different like buildings, flatlet building, towers,
Okay.
whatever. So like your really big countries like Great Britain and China and all that, they will have like completely kitted out buildings, right? Like maybe with their own social area, maybe with bean bags to chill, like 1,000 massage tables, and just like treated like really proper. And then you get Africa, and we're all in one building here, and we all have to like share everything, and we don't have all that fancy social things, and we don't have VIP equipped or customized beddings or rooms or any of that. So another thing is you treat it according to your country and the performance level of your country. So if you rank down there, then that's the treatment you get, as an athlete. But that is at World Champs, that is at Olympic Games, that is at every massive games. Like you treat it according to the performance of your country.
Wow, I don't know. Well, I guess that's life in general, right? You're treated according to
Yeah,
how
yeah,
much
yeah.
clout or money or status you have. But I don't think that that would be at the Olympics, because we see you guys and everybody's an Olympian, and we're very excited to see these people performing on such a grand stage. So
Mm.
yeah, that is very eye-opening. But
I
you
mean,
being,
social media only shows you the good things, right? No one ever like actually shows you
no.
shit, what's happening here. But I guess that's life. That's life. That's what we have to do.
And we're lucky that we have social media now. I mean, in the times of Marion Jones, there was
Yeah.
no social media. So whatever you saw on
Mm.
TV, whatever a journalist said was reality
Mm.
back then. But you've been running for so many years, and I guess there's been challenges that you faced as a female athlete, and I think that's one of the things I'd like to highlight with these lives. What
Mm.
challenges or obstacles have you faced being a female athlete?
So many. Firstly, in South Africa is finding a coach that understands women, and what we go through. We don't have a lot of female coaches within South Africa. Most of the coaches are male. And females are very complicated. We go through a lot of stages in life,
Mm,
especially when we're growing up and hitting that different hormonal stages in our career. Like when you're on your menstrual as a female, you are about 60% weaker than when you're not. So, those are things that coaches need to take into account and into consideration to adapt your program, to fix your program according to that. And it's hard. It's very hard because I can understand from a coach's point of view as well. They're male. They don't understand, how the female body works, etc. So from a performance point of view, that is really hard. And, you don't have mentors helping you. I mean, just speaking for myself, I was, I think, 12 or 13 when I ran a 12:05 on the 100 meters, right? Um, which is very fast for that age. And if I just had the correct mentors and I had the correct coaches and I could had the correct development as a female sprinter in South Africa, who knows where I could have been right now. And I
mm,
think that is a major thing that we're still facing as female athletes within South Africa is actually getting that development programs um, designed individually for us as women. A lot of the time they just expect us to follow the lead of the guys and do what the guys are doing. And why are the guys performing, but the women aren't performing? Because we're different. We're different. We have to deal with women differently. So yeah, that's a major issue that we go through. Then inequality. If you're not going to be a female athlete on Instagram or on social media platforms showing your muscles, showing your legs, showing your body, um, it's not about the performance. It's not about the performance when it comes to brand collaborations. It's about, is she a sexy athlete? Is she a hot athlete? Is she willing to take pictures every day, in a panties and her crop top? What is she willing to show out there? So that's also another massive issue. Like, just treat me according to my performance, and reward me according to my
mm.
performance. So that is something that I struggled with throughout my career as well. Where if I wasn't showing enough skin, I wouldn't get the recognition that I deserve. So yeah, I think it's still a battle we're facing. It's good to see that two females brought home medals from the Olympic Games for South Africa. I don't believe that the media is talking about it enough. I think that that's where we always let down. Like the woman will go and do the work, but then the media doesn't make you know, the story, or doesn't relay the story in the correct way. Because I mean, look at this: two females. When they left for the Olympic Games, the only expectations that was guaranteed was males to bring home medals, right? And now we have two women that brought home medals, and why we're
And
not
the
talking
world
about it?
record.
Why two? Not even one world record, two Olympic records. You know, it's
Hmm.
massive. It's a massive achievement. But why is media not making a big deal about it? You know, why aren't we celebrating this? It's an amazing moment, and this is the platform we're supposed to use to bridge that gap of inequality. But we're not doing it because people are too scared. So yeah, I
Hmm.
think that we're still facing these issues. I'm hoping that one day it's gonna get better. It's obviously gotten better year after year after year, and you know, who knows? Maybe for the next generation it will be equal.
So, in your views, as a person has experience in being in the Olympics and the athletics world and the sporting world, how do we then bridge the gap to get more female athletes up to a level where they can compete with your Elaine Thompsons and actually win, can bring home medals like Penny Ames and Natalie Detroit? Um, how do we then begin to develop them from grassroots level to be on that level with the rest of the world?
Start looking after the young athletes. I mean, look, you guys, I'm putting this out here right now. It's the under 20 world champs right now. We've already won one gold medal for South Africa in the pole vault, in the female pole vault. She's already won a gold medal today.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Go and look at it. She's won a gold medal at the World Under 20 Championships for pole vault. And number one, we're not going to hear about it. Number two, she's not going to be looked after. So we always do well at a junior and a youth level. But the problem is that the federations don't put money into or don't invest money into looking after these kids, right? So then these kids don't know what to do. They go to various institutions where they get bursaries because, you know, if somebody's going to say, I'll pay for 5 years of studies, but we don't know what's going to happen at an institution. We don't know if they have qualified people or coaches or trainers to look after these kids and to harness their
Mm,
talent and to develop their talent. So that's where it all goes wrong. After this World Under 20 Championships, you'll see South Africa will do some great things over there. But you won't hear about these kids again in the next 2 3 years. Why can't this girl who just won pole vault now win then at the next Olympic Games in 2024? Simple answer:
mm,
because we don't look after her, we don't support her, we don't invest in her, we don't harness her talent. But if she's winning at an under 20 level, gold medal against everybody in the world, why is she not winning at an Olympic level? What is the rest of the world doing differently that we aren't doing? And it's simple. We're not investing. We're not backing them financially. We're not backing them in terms of mentorship. You know, we're not backing them in terms of guidance. There's so many aspects, and it's so easy. We could bring home at least 10 medals in track and field from Olympics if we just had the right people in the right places.
and then is it an argument of saying we need sponsorship from corporate, we need sponsorship from big companies and not necessarily just from the government?
Look, it starts with the government. I'm not going to lie, it starts with the government. Um, so it starts with the government, number one, because I mean, the government never even gave money for the athletes that came back from the Olympic Games in terms of
Yes,
rewarding them. So it
yes.
starts with the government. The government needs to set the example, you know. Um, and then number two, then corporate companies can come on board. But before corporate companies come on board, once we get the funding from the government, it needs to be handled correctly. We know that there's still a lot of corruption. We know that there's still a lot of money laundering, theft, you know, all of those things. So most of your federations are in
Yes,
debt.
yes.
So once corporate companies give
Mm,
sponsorship to your federations, they have to pay the debt off first. So whether your corporate
mm,
companies come on board and pump millions into your federation, that money must first be used for mishandling of other situations before it can be used for the athletes.
mm,
So it's a tricky situation. It's a very tricky situation, but I think from the government first. I mean, how can you have to set up a funding to reward your medalists that came from Olympic Games? A corporate funding scheme.
mm.
Like to me, that is just that's yeah. There's no excuse for that. So from the government first, yeah.
On the point that you made about the girl who won the pole vault medal today, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't actually know that we had pole vault athletes in South Africa. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
um, number two, are we able to watch these world championships on like Super Sports or somewhere?
I know,
And then
probably just on YouTube. Yeah,
Okay.
streaming.
And then also, I'd just like to ask from the prospect of a young athlete, right? You're a young athlete, you've got sponsorship now, and you go win the world champs. And then you think about your future and what your future is as an athlete in the context of living in South Africa. So for you to spend time developing yourself to be an Olympic grade athlete versus for you to study, I don't know, like a degree in law or something where you know that you're going to get a job in corporate. That's a trade-off you have to make, right? And if you're coming from an environment where you have to take care of the next siblings that come along, or you have to develop your family, you're going to choose the more stable route. So for athletes, young athletes, what are the prospects after they've reached the prime age, if I can put it that way?
Sure. That is a very good question because I often ask myself, how can I motivate females to continue in sport when I know there's no financial backing? You don't make a salary,
Yeah.
you don't make money, you don't. It is what it is. It's in black and white. Like you have to be honest about it. There is no money unless you're gonna be in the top 10 in the world, which is hard.
Yes.
Especially in track and field. How many people take part in track and field, and you have to
Yes.
be in the top 10 just to earn a living from it? It's absolutely tough. So that's something I always ask myself, and I always have a battle with. Like, how do I motivate you? But I know there's not a lucrative future in the sport.
Mm,
So am I gonna lie to you? But then it all boils down to passion. Are you passionate about studying law? Are you passionate about your sport? Um, are you going to follow your heart? Or are you going to follow money? If you follow your heart, if you follow your passion, if you work hard, there is still that 5% chance that you could be, in that top 5 in the world, and you could make a good living from your sport. So I think it's just a toss up between what do you really want? Are you willing to work hard for it? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to persevere? Because, nothing also comes easy.
yes.
You're not just going to get a law degree unless you study really hard and you're going to
Yes.
pass your exams and you ace it or whatever. Same thing. You're not going to be an Olympic champ unless you're willing to work hard and sacrifice. It is what it is. So I think anybody is capable of being an Olympic champ. I think this Olympic Games has taught us that. The medalists that we've seen come through from countries where you would never expect, or in the 4x100 meter relay.
Yes.
But I mean, they did it. So if they can do it, why can't we do it? So it's a toss up, and it's about following your heart, following your dreams, following your passions, or money.
With this Olympics that passed, I really like the developments that happened where you had the mixed relays, you had the different
Mm.
strategies for the teams that were coming through and how they're going to how they're going to put the athletes in order. So I like the development. But one question I had while I was preparing for this, and I've always thought about it since I was a child watching the Olympics, why is it that the women can only take part in the heptathlon, but the men can also do the men do the decathlon? And I didn't know what sport between the two that the men do and the women don't.
Oh yeah. I think because in terms of injury, in terms of what women can handle, what men can handle, there is a difference. I mean, men naturally have higher levels of testosterone, so the recovery period is quicker. So yeah, I think that they just made it a little bit fair that women only do 7 events and men do 10 events. So it's a
Mm,
bit of a toss up, but I think that it's probably fair. I think women don't they don't do, what don't they do? They do high jump, they do long jump, they do 100-meter hurdles, they do 200-meter, 800-meter, they do pole vault, I think, and hurdles. I'm not sure what they don't do, but I think it's fair though, because men can handle a little bit more. It is true, just because of our genetic buildup and all of that, our recovery rate. So you must know, heptathlon and decathlon is done over 2 days.
mm.
7 events in 2 days. That's intense. And men, 10 events in 2 days. That's next level crazy. So I think that it's probably fair, just it's like hurdles. Like women's hurdles height is lower than men's, just because men's
Mm,
capability is a little bit more, and obviously the weight of their shot put ball is heavier than the woman. The weight of their discus is heavier. The weight of their hammer throw is heavier. It's literally just because of your genetic makeup, and men are stronger naturally.
mm, mm, mm.
Mm.
We have a comment from the Great Shepherd, and she says, I personally think that here in Africa, fitness industry is taken for granted.
I mean, yeah, it's true. It's not a lucrative industry. It's every person out there is a fitness influencer, or
Yes.
starting fitness movements or videos, and they don't even have qualifications, or they haven't been through training. So at least take it for granted. I think the value of fitness influencers and trainers has decreased, and everybody's just listening to whoever. I mean, the scary things that I see on Instagram, and people saying that they elite athlete developers, and the things that the athletes are doing, and I'm like, whoa, that's where it's already wrong.
Mm,
That we're not educated enough, and that people can't identify and see the difference between an actual sports conditioning coach and somebody who is pretending to be one, or doesn't really
mm,
have experience in it. And it's scary, because that's where we lose our champions. That's where we lose our
mm,
Lionel Messi's. That's where we lose our Allyson Felixes, because in the end of the day, these trainers are training them so incorrectly that they're just injured. Have to go for
yeah.
operations. But yeah, that's the thing in South Africa. It's just the level is not great.
Yeah, and also the level of support. It's something that Penny Hings mentioned on a radio interview,
Hmm.
to say that, South African swimmers, they're strong. It's just that they don't compete enough with
Mm.
other international swimmers. And also, we don't have a lot of development, in terms of developing these athletes to a point where they can be on the Olympic stage.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that she was highlighting.
Hmm. It boils down to
Uh,
finances. If you want to race in Europe
um,
and you don't have a financial sponsor, you need at least 60 to 80,000 rand to go and run a season in Europe. So, where are you gonna get that money from? It's
yeah.
you're an athlete. You don't get paid to be an athlete too. So it's a hard pill to swallow.
Mm. Pamela Sarah says, keep inspiring the current and future generations, Conley. We want to see at the 2024 starting blocks. Is that your goal?
Pressure,
Are
pressure.
we gonna see you at the Olympics again?
I mean,
Um,
only time will tell. We
okay.
we said it was a 5-year cycle, so let's make it a 3-year cycle now. Maybe in
Yeah,
4 years
she's
time
got
or
three
3 years
years
time,
now.
you'll
She's
interview
got
me
three
and you'll
years.
be like, Alyssa, you did it again. So we'll see.
Maybe by then, David Tlale will be designing the costumes to enter the stage, the opening ceremony costumes. Maybe we don't
Let's
know.
hope so. Let's hope I
We
have
don't know.
a luckier time then. But yeah, who knows?
We
Who
don't
knows
know.
what the future holds? Anything is possible. Let's just wait and see.
Yes. When I mentioned this question to you, you laughed at me. I wasn't actually supposed to tell you before, but
Wait for it. This question is crazy.
if you woke up one day and you switched your body and you were a boy, what are the things that you would get up to?
I like still now. I'm like, what kind of question is that? And I know my cousin Monique is watching. She's thinking, oh gosh, if only you knew. If I was a guy, what would I get up to? Geez, I would probably milk the opportunity of being probably one of the greatest sporting stars in South Africa. I think if I was a guy, things would have been way different for me in the sporting industry. I don't know what sport I would choose, probably rugby or football. I don't know if I would be a track athlete. I would probably choose one of the others. So yeah, are we talking sports here? Or are we talking other things?
Like in general in life, so I've asked this question before and I've gotten answers like I would go running in the woods alone. I would just walk in the streets knowing that I won't be catcalled,
Oh,
because
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
apparently
you are.
you'd be
Yeah,
more
you played
naughty.
some. Apparently, I don't know. I'm not naughty, but anyway. Yeah, I think that life would just be easier. Wake up and just get on with life. You don't have to wake up into your hair. You don't have to worry about, where you're driving, when you're driving. You don't have to worry about telling anybody where you're going and who you're gonna be with. Like, it's
Mm,
just so easy to be a guy. You don't have to worry about freaking getting pregnant and your menstrual cycle and looking out. Like even this morning, like I had to wake up and I had to freaking clean the house because our domestic worker has gone home, and I had to clean the house, and I had to work, and I had to go and train, and I had to do all the things, and I'm like, being a lady sucks because it's just so much expectations, that people have that you need to fulfill. So definitely, I yeah, I think I would live a much richer life, because like Monique says, that I'd get paid for my achievements and it would actually mean something. I would be able to take, those topless pictures and post them and make everybody happy, showing them pics and abs and being the strong masculine guy there. So yeah, I think it's just so much easier. Guys get it easy when it comes to social expectations and social norms, like compared to women.
And sponsorships as well. It's easier
Yeah,
for men to get
100%.
sponsorships than women.
100%. It's so easy. It's literally like yeah, it annoys me. It annoys me big time because we have to literally be extremely sexual to get a sponsorship, and that's not what we're here for. It's honestly not what we're here for. If I just think of one athlete, Sunit Balloon, I'm telling you now, she is the most decorated female athlete in South Africa when it comes to track and field. But just because of her brand and her image, no one even knows it you know
Mm,
so it's just annoying that being a female, you can't be who you are authentically. You have to change according to social expectations, and you can't get rewarded for your performance. So I mean, if she was a guy
mm,
and she if she was a guy and she achieved what she did or what she has achieved throughout her career in javelin, I'm telling you, that woman would be sponsored by the biggest brands in South Africa. She would have money. She wouldn't have to put up a fund me to go to Europe.
mm.
She's got over 15 world level medals, but she has to start a fund me page to go to Europe. Like, to me, it's just mind boggling. I don't know.
Doesn't make
Anyway,
sense. It doesn't make sense. Ish,
not at
those
all.
are the politics of sport that I didn't think would translate into athletics, but clearly,
Nah, it's everywhere.
clearly,
Yeah.
like clearly they do. Clearly they do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is not really a question, but I'd like you to share a message of hope for the women of South
Mhm.
Africa for Women's Month.
Perfect. So yeah, just out there, to all the ladies, be true to yourself. Believe in yourself. I think that a lot of the time we shy away, or we don't believe in what we can achieve. We don't believe in our abilities. We're not confident enough. We would rather let someone else take the lead. But come on, back yourself, man. You can do this. And if you have a goal out there, work hard and you can achieve it. I think it's only through hard work, perseverance, and dedication that you will get to where you want to be. If I can do it time and time again, there's no reason you can't do it. So back yourself and be the best you always.
This is a very beautiful message. And with that, now I think about the goal you said 5 years ago. Now, 5 years later, I'm asking you, in 5 years, what is the one goal that you set for yourself?
Mm. Um, so I'm putting it out there because I believe it and I believe I can achieve it. I want to win a world medal in athletics before I retire completely. So that is what I'm going to work towards, whether it be a Commonwealth medal, whether it be a Continental Cup medal, whether it be Olympic medal, whether it be a World Champs medal. I'm going to work hard to win a medal at a world competition in athletics.
When you say that, I think about your achievement when you're 12 years old. Isn't that equivalent?
It's equivalent, but I want to do it at a senior level as well. I just
Okay,
want to
okay.
end my career off knowing that as a senior, I stood on the podium, and I got a medal. That's my major goal. Yeah,
To say one day, I also did this and you can do it too, you know?
100%. Despite the adversity, despite the challenges, despite the setbacks, if like I said, if you want to achieve something, work at it, and it can be done.
And in your current setting right now, do you believe that you have the support that you need to reach that goal?
Personal support, yes, in terms of family, friends, people around me to motivate me. Yes, I do. Financial support, you're never gonna have the financial support you have, like, and that's just something that we have to accept as athletes in South Africa. You have to unfortunately work jobs. I work 3 jobs and I train. So it's just something that I have to adapt to, something that I have to get used to, something that's always going to be a part of my life. So I can either cry about it and be like, now, how can I work 3 jobs and still achieve this goal? Or I can just manage my time well and make sure that, I have enough time to work the jobs, to earn money, and to achieve the goal. But yeah, I think when it comes to these kind of goals, your personal support, so your family, your friends, people like the ones watching here backing me and saying they believe in me. Those are the people that actually motivate you and keep you going to achieve that goal. And that's what means more than actual financial backing. Because at this point in time, I'm not doing it for money. I'm old. I'm doing it literally because of my passion and because it's a personal goal of mine. So yeah, I think that personal supporters and motivators mean way more right now here.
Last question before you go to bed. Do you think this problem is a South African one or it's a global one? Because I was watching a YouTube video about US track athletes who had to pay their way to get to the Olympic trials and.
No, definitely a global one, especially especially in this whole COVID time, and where companies are just have lost so much money. They can't really sponsor people anymore. Finances are just so few. It's definitely a global problem. Something we have to face. Look at Allyson Felix, most decorated athlete in the world. When she was pregnant, she was dropped by the biggest
I
brand
remember
in the
that.
world. So, I mean, you can even be the best and you will still not be supported and you will still not be backed. It's just a global problem that we face and we just don't have the answer. But I think that the more we speak about it, the more we vocalize the issues and our feelings about it, who knows, maybe one day it will change.
I'm so happy she took a stand because I was so disappointed when I read that. Like, probably my
Same.
favorite brand. And I mean, they've done so many things right, and there's one thing, and it's been common practice. But I'm very happy
Mm-hmm.
that she left and she made a noise about it and she got recognized and was amended. And now
Yeah.
she's with a brand that celebrates women.
Mm-hmm. And she's
I'm very
created her
happy
own
for her.
brand. So
Yes.
she's one of those strong women that really is a true inspiration. And she's the GOAT. Like, to be at her age and to step off the Olympic track with 2 medals, and then to be the most decorated track athlete ever, male and female, at her age, being a mom, going through everything she went through. I mean, what more can you ask for? It's crazy.
I was just thinking when she said this is her fifth Olympics, and I was thinking ever since I watched the Olympics, it was Marion Jones, it was Allyson Felix, and that
Mm.
those silly and Fraser Prices. And I was like, when did she go to the Olympics? I did a quick Google search and I saw that she's been going since she was a teenager. And I was like, wow, even teenagers
Yeah.
go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
amazing.
know, crazy fact, do you know that the skateboarding gold and silver medalist is both 12 years old or 13 years old?
Yes, I read that they were the
Yeah.
youngest
Youngest
medalists.
medalist.
And
Mm-hmm.
in South Africa, the oldest participant was somebody who's in their 40s and was going for the skateboarding as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think a lot of people are breaking barriers. It's not your general, you can only be Olympian when you're 18 or 20. You can only do this when you're that age. Like, just do what you want to do. If you're passionate about something, if you believe you can do it, doesn't matter your age, just do it. Like, it's as
Yes,
simple as that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Slogan from your former
I
employer.
know. I
It's
was thinking about it.
ingrained
I'm like,
in
I
you.
know he's gonna say this.
Ingrained in you.
You sly. You're so sly.
Alyssa,
Anyway.
thank you so much for this conversation. It was very insightful. I think I learned a lot. There's a lot of misconceptions that you cleared up for me. I thought you just
Hmm.
go to the Olympics, race, and then go to the beach, just watch the other athletes. But apparently that's not the
No,
case. So I learned something
that's
new
not the
today
case.
and really valued this conversation. I'd like to thank you for being such, an open and introspective guest. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for dedicating this time. I know you had another live earlier, but still came through for this one. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. We don't know what the future
Thank you so
holds.
much.
I'm really
You
looking
never know.
forward to your medal, to your podium finish.
Keep watching. Who knows?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the week. Yeah, we still have a lot of days to go.
I know.
And to
Oh, tell me
everybody who
about it.
was watching, thank you so much for joining. Your comments were appreciated and they really stimulated the conversation and got it flowing. Yeah, thank you so much for joining and see you on the streets soon. Hopefully one day you will do a marathon with the rest of us. Maybe.
That's not my goal. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for supporting me. I appreciate it. Much love. Bye.
Bye, Alyssa.